Hey, thanks for stopping by Mystic Messages. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, good to have you back. These messages are timeless, so whenever they're received is when you're meant to get them. They won't be meant for everyone, so if this message don't apply, let it fly, and you're always welcome to come back for the next. Okay, so let's get started. Source has a message for a few out there, or one particular person. Uh, Basically, the message that I keep getting is it's time to let them go. And you know who that is. The first person that comes to mind after you hear me saying that is the one that you need to let go. And you've been realizing this for a while. And this could be one person or a group of people. They are preventing you from moving forward and progressing along your spiritual path because of their lower vibration. And a lot of times we're being tested, and these people will be presented to us to see what we're going to do with them. Are we going to be obedient to our path, or are we going to remain in the negativity and the lower vibration? As you know, again, it's always our choice, but you get to decide which is best for you. Do you want to remain in that lower vibration, or do you want to move forward into a higher elevation into the new world? Your choice. So you know, God's just putting it out there for you. But you know who these people are, this person or people. These people are very negative. They speak negatively about everything and everyone while pretending to be pious and religious. Now, this is where discernment comes in. It's sometimes it's difficult to discern those who deem themselves pious, but we can recognize them through their actions. Especially, let's use the Christianity for an example. I know I go on that a lot, but I'm a former Catholic, so I was raised Catholic, and so I've seen a lot when it comes to false piety. But a lot of times you'll see people who go to church, pretend to be religious, whatever religion, whatever sect of Christianity they're in, and they're bigoted against everything and everyone that doesn't agree with what they say or how they feel. Now, if you look into Christ's teaching, Christ's consciousness, Christ was all about inclusivity and didn't condemn anyone. So, how can a person who claims to be pious condemn anyone? They're not God. God did not give them the power to condemn. Okay, that's God's job. And basically, what you're saying when you condemn others is that God somehow made a mistake somewhere with certain people that you dislike for whatever reason, whether it be their skin color, their sexuality, uh, their familial status, whatever. That's not of Christ consciousness. So whoever I'm speaking to, you know these people who are around you, and remaining silent in their presence is not the answer. You know, that's another part of growing in spiritual growth. Being able to have the strength and the courage and the conviction to speak to those who pretend to be pious, and let them see, give them an opportunity to learn. Again, they have a choice, but even if you have to, if you're afraid of losing them, then maybe you have to look at yourself and say, hey, what is it about me that wants to stay connected to this type of a vibration? Do I really want to be here, or do I want to move forward? I had to do this with plenty of people in my entire family because their thought process is just not not normal in my opinion. But again, that's them. I can't take them with me, and I refuse to be around their gossipy behavior. I refuse to be around their nonsense. I just can't tolerate it. And eventually you'll learn to feel the same. As you increase and you grow on this spiritual path, you will no longer be able to tolerate idle gossip, nonsense, bigotry of any kind. And those will be signs that you're actually growing on a path towards a divine existence. Okay? When your vibration no longer can tolerate being around certain individuals who pretend to be one way and then behave totally the opposite. In my life, I've seen many people, especially in the Catholic Church, they seem to feel that they can sin all week and then run to the confession box and confess their sins to a priest who probably does worse things than they did. But nonetheless, they feel like that's instant forgiveness. And that's not the way it works. If you keep repeating the same mistake, expecting to be forgiven, you're just adding karma to yourself. And then you have, regular Christian people out there who believe that they're washed in the blood of Jesus Christ and therefore all their sins are paid for so they can continue to be bigoted and horrible people. That's not cool. They think God doesn't see that. God is well aware of what's going on. And unfortunately, these people are not only building karma for themselves, but for the generations after them. And that's not fair. So, what Source is trying to say is take a look inside you. Do you want to grow on this spiritual path? Or would you prefer to remain around the same people that you've been accustomed to instead of trying to go out there and find your soul tribe and be around people who are going to uplift you? People who are not interested in gossip, people who are not interested in controlling your thought process, where everybody is welcome. You know, Personally, I find the second choice better, but again, we all have a choice to make, and it's all about what we want. So you really need to ask yourself, what is it that I want? Do I want to stay stagnant or do I want to move forward? Bottom line, your choice. And God is always there for you, source, whoever that might be for you. You know, the ascended masters, the angels, the saints, the deities. Everybody's working together to uplift all of us and assist us on this journey. Even when it feels like they're not there, they're there for us. And so if you're feeling afraid and confused about moving on from a certain individual or a group of individuals, whether they be family, friends, what have you, you know, ask for strength. Ask for the courage to have words to speak to these people to impart the truth on them. And maybe they'll look at themselves and maybe not. Because everybody cannot join us on this journey, unfortunately. Everybody has their own journey to make. Okay? And I think that's the hardest thing to understand too when you're, you know, going along on this path is that not everybody can come with you, and there is a part of you that's going to want to bring people with you when things start working out and you realize that doing things on the correct way is making your life so much better and you're going to want to share that with everyone. And that's another thing that we have to refrain from doing because not everyone will understand this journey. And anyone who is told the darkness can somehow get into them and use them to try to discourage you along the path, you know? But you have to use your discernment to figure out from who and where it's coming from. And the first place to start is to look within yourself and say, do I want to be like these low vibrating people? Or do I want to elevate myself and enter a world of peace, harmony, and beauty? So we're going to leave it at that today. I want to thank everyone for stopping by. As always, don't forget to check out the description box for the bonus material that correspond with this message. I want to thank everyone for stopping by again. Really appreciate all your views, and we'll see you again soon. Take care.